Okay, guys, I wanted to give you a little heads up on some of the stuff that you're learning in language arts this week. Adjectives and adverbs. So, an adverb, listen to the word adverb. An adverb adds to the verb. So, if you're running, how are you running? Quickly. Quickly running, okay? Or quietly walking. Walking is your verb. How are you walking? Quietly. Clean. I'm going to carefully clean up the toys. What am I doing? Cleaning. How am I doing it? Carefully. So an adverb adds to the verb. Adverb. Now an adjective is a describer. Okay? Blue chair. Brown hair. Black dog. Yellow drink. Okay? So adjectives describe a noun. Okay? So chair, hair, dog, drink are all nouns. Your adjective is describing the noun. Okay? Adjectives can also tell when. So today, I'm making a video. Tomorrow is Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. Later, I'll have a sandwich. Okay? Those are all adjectives. They're all telling when. Okay, so there's a couple pages in your reader's notebook for this week that talk about the difference between adverbs and adjectives. Also, some of your IXLs have been adverbs and adjectives. Okay, so remember, adverbs add to the verb. They tell how you're doing the action. Quickly, quietly, carefully. Adjectives describe what kind of chair? A blue chair. What color hair? A brown chair. Or brown hair. Okay? Cool. All right, lesson 27. Our vocabulary for the week. Word number 1 is exact. The map showed the exact place to dig for old bones. So exact is like a specific place. Like your address. 819 Indiana Street, Martins Ferry, Ohio. That's my exact address. That's where I'm at exactly right now. Number 2 is discovered. The old shark's tooth was discovered on the beach. It was found by a scientist. So discovered and found are synonyms. They're different words, but they have the same meaning. Word number 3, remove. The scientist used a brush to gently remove or take away sand. Remove, take away are synonyms. Take away. Number 4, growled. The dog growled and barked as it dug up the old bone. Okay, growled. She's not doing much growling right now. Amazed. The girl was amazed at the size of the dinosaur teeth in the museum. Amazed. Okay, being shocked or surprised. Okay, if you've ever been to a museum and seen a replica of a dinosaur like that, it's pretty amazing to see. Number 6, explained. The man explained or told about the dinosaur. I'm explaining to you your vocabulary words for this week. Guard. A guard makes sure no one touches anything in the museum. Okay, a guard is someone who protects. Okay. Souvenirs. Souvenirs. He bought souvenirs to remember his day at the museum. Okay, if you go to a zoo, you might buy something in the gift shop. Okay, that's a souvenir. Or something from vacation is a souvenir. All right, let's read our story. The Dog That Dug for Dinosaurs by Shirley Ray Redman. Illustrated by Stacy Schutt. A long, long time ago, there was a little dog named Trey. He was black and white all over. He had friendly brown eyes and a wiggly tail. Trey lived in England. Trey was a real dog, and this is an honest, true story about him. Trey loved 2 things most in the whole world. First, he loved Mary Anning. She was 12 years old and lived with her family in a small cottage near the beach in Lyme Regis. Secondly, Trey loved going with Mary to dig for fossils. So what are fossils anyways? They are the remains of animals and plants that died long time ago. When a leaf or bone gets pressed between layers of sea mud, it leaves an imprint. After many, many years, the mud hardens to rock. Trey and Mary knew that they would find the very best fossils high up on the cliffs around the beach. They climbed up there every day. Trey sniffed the rocks, sniff, sniff. He pawed the dirt. Scratch, scratch. Mary used a small hammer and chisel. Tap, tap, tap. With these tools, Mary carefully cut fossils out of the cliff, just as her father had shown her. Trey watched as she placed the fossils in her basket. Most of them looked like seashells. Mary and Trey sold them as souvenirs to the tourists that came by the stagecoach to swim at the beach near their home. One day, Trey and Mary discovered some very large bones sticking out of the rocks. They were huge. Trey growled and tried to dig the bones out. Mary used her hands to brush away loose dirt. Trey, we've discovered a monster, she declared. The bones were much too big for Trey and Mary to remove by themselves. I'll go for help, Mary said. You stay here, Trey. Trey barked loudly and sat down in front of the bones. He was a very good guard dog. Mary ran all the way back to town and asked some grown-ups to help her. Trey and I have found something very special in the cliff, she told them. Just wait and see. When the men saw the giant rib bone in the side of the cliff, they were amazed. What a beast, they cried. Look at those sharp teeth. Is it a crocodile, one man asked, or a stubby whale? We don't know what it is, Mary admitted. But we know it's something special. Don't we, Trey? Trey yipped and wagged his tail. A rich man who lived nearby heard about the sea monster. He hurried to see it for himself. I'll buy it, he cried. I will give it to the British Museum in London. Do you know what it is? Mary asked. It's called an ichthyosaur, the man told her. That means fish lizard, he explained. It's like a dinosaur with fins. The amazing news spread about the gigantic fish lizard and the dog and little girl who found it. So many strangers came to Lyme Regis where Mary and Trey lived. They all wanted to hunt for fossils too. The men wore tall top hats. The women wore frilly bonnets. They carried pretty umbrellas called parasols. Mary shook her head and smiled. She rubbed Trey's soft ears. They watched the strangers together. They don't have the right tools, Mary whispered. They are wearing the wrong kinds of shoes. Aren't they silly, Trey? Trey yipped and chased his tail. Curious scientists visited Lyme Regis too. One man came from the University of Oxford. His name was William Buckland. He went to the old carpenter's shop where Mary and Trey sold their fossils. Can you show me where you found your ichthyosaur, young lady? He asked politely. Do you think you could find the exact spot again? Trey can find it, Mary boasted. Together, Mary and Mr. Buckland followed the little dog across the beach and up the cliffs. Trey sniffed the rocks. Sniff, sniff. Trey pawed the dirt. Scratch, scratch. Suddenly, he yipped. Then he sat down. Mary pointed. It was the exact place where they had discovered the strange fish lizard. What an intelligent dog, Mr. Buckland declared. Trey wagged his tail. Trey and Mary continued to dig for fossils. They were very careful. Mary watched for falling rocks like her dad told her. Trey looked out for storms and high tides. Then one day they discovered another giant creature. Look, Trey, Mary cried. It's a sea dragon. Trey sniffed the skeleton and snapped at it with his teeth. The creature had a long, long neck. Its backbone was like a humped turtle shell. Instead of feet and legs, it had 4 large paddles. But it wasn't a sea dragon. Mr. Buckland called it a plesiosaur. One day, Trey and Mary found a fossil that no one in England had ever found before. This one had huge bony wings like a bat and a long, sharp jaw. Trey growled. It looked like a gigantic flying lizard, Mary declared. The scientists thought so too, and that's why they named it a pterodactyl. That means lizard with wings. Over the years, Trey, Mary, and Mr. Buckland became good friends. They showed him where to find the best fossils in Lyme Regis. Mr. Buckland brought books about dinosaurs for Mary. He bought beef bones for Trey. Mary, with Trey on her lap, studied her books every day. When Trey's whiskers turned gray and Mary was all grown up, they still collected fossils and sold them in the old carpenter's shop. There were boxes and baskets filled with fossils on the floor and on the shelves. Some of the fossil creatures were so big they couldn't fit through the door. Sometimes children and tourists stopped in to buy fossils of ancient sand dollars or tiny fish and curly shells. Many scientists came to the shop to buy fossils too. They brought carts and wagons to haul away the really large ones. Trey and Mary Anning became very famous. Today, if you go to the Natural History Museum in London, you can see the large fossils they discovered. You can also see a famous painting of Mary holding her fossil basket and Trey, the dog that dug for dinosaurs.